Hi and welcome to another edition of AskLex. I'm Karen Maloney, the founder and director of Learning Experts, and today I'm talking to Angela McGregor from RTO Consulting. Hi Angela.
Hi Karen, how are you?
Good, thank you. Now we're talking today about what it takes to become an RTO. So there's lots of different groups of people that might be considering becoming an RTO, but just for the people watching, just make sure that you're watching the right video. Who would be interested in becoming an RTO and why?
So, a lot of our clients are trainers and assessors, so they're already working for an RTO. Mm-hmm. A lot of clients also are working through partnering agreements, so they're delivering training and assessment like an RTO, but they're not an RTO themselves. Now, some of those are administrators or managers of an organisation. Mm-hmm. And then the other group that we have is companies that want to deliver either for their own staff mm-hmm. or for externals. So it may be an area that they're wanting to expand their business and deliver nationally recognised training to external organisations, external people.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So what's the actual process that people have to go through to become an RTO? Like, is it something that takes a long time? Is it just an application form you submit? Like, what's the do with that?
For sure. A lot of people, when they initially look at the process, they expect it's a simple application, pay your money, and then at some point you'll have to show that you're doing the right thing and you get a tick. But it's a lot more complicated than that. What we need to do is, from the business plan and the financial projections right through to being able to issue a certificate, you need to be ready. So you basically need to show ASQA, the governing regulator, that you're ready to run a registered training organisation. So you have to have everything in place. So you need to have already written a business plan, run your financial projections, mm-hmm. have all of your systems and processes in place to take an enrolment. So you need to have your marketing material in place, mm-hmm. as well as, most importantly, your training and assessment staff and content. So like I said, right through to being able to issue a certificate. And that's before you actually put the application in.
Okay. So what's involved with actually putting the application in? Is that just a form? Do you have to pay anything? Or
okay, it's a straightforward application online, but you need to attach evidence of everything to show that, like I said, that you are prepared and ready to run an RTO from beginning to end. So the application process is an online process through ASQA, mm-hmm. and at that point that you put that application in, you need to pay the $8,800. So that's the application fee.
Right. And so what happens if you're not ready and you don't get the tick of approval?
Oh, okay. So potentially, if you do not achieve compliance through that application process, you'll receive a rejection. Right. That's quite hurtful, that word rejection.
No one likes rejection.
No one wants a rejection, but you receive a rejection letter and it will say that your application has been rejected. And in most cases, you'll be given 20 working days to rectify any of the causes of that rejection. Now, I have seen some that have had rejections against each of the standards. So there's 8 standards, there's a lot more clauses under each of those standards, mm-hmm. and we need to demonstrate each of them. So I have seen some rejections for initial registration that have been against every one of the standards. 20 days to rectify is not long when you're trying to run a business or you're delivering training, that sort of thing. So the best thing to do is be as prepared as possible and avoid non-compliances.
Yeah. So what sort of support can you get from ASQA, like, throughout that process then, that's going to help you?
Now, that's something a lot of people are really disappointed in. They ring up ASQA, or they think that ASQA are going to come and show them how to actually set up their RTO, and they're not. ASQA is our regulator, and they are purely a regulator. All they do is check that RTOs are doing the right thing, and if they're not, they write a report to say you're not doing the right thing. So they don't provide guidance, they don't provide advice. So even if you thought, all right, I'll put in a few documents, see how I go, see what ASQA think, they're going to give me some feedback, mm-hmm. you will get a report that basically says you've been rejected, mm-hmm. and that report will also just in brief say it's a non-compliance, it doesn't give you a lot of detail as to what those non-compliances are, or how, more importantly, it doesn't tell you how to fix them.
How to fix them, okay.
That's the difficulty.
What do you find are the most common things that people get rejected for?
Okay, so the most common non-compliances, there's probably 3 common non-compliances. One at the top of the list is the assessment. So a lot of people are buying off the shelf training and assessment material.
Right.
And they just put the assessment in thinking that they're fine, they purchase it, they think it'll be fine, but they're not. In most cases, if you've purchased assessment, it's not going to be compliant. Majority of RTOs are gaining non-compliances around assessment. So if you get a non-compliance, it's generally around assessment, and it's because it doesn't meet the requirements.
Yeah.
The other non-compliances are usually around training and assessment staff, and it's often not that the staff are non-compliant, that the staff don't meet the requirements. It's often that the applicant didn't demonstrate to ASQA that those staff meet the requirements. So it's often a case of, yes, we can do it, yes, we have the capability, but we didn't tell the story in the way that ASQA want to hear it. So a lot of people read the guide and they say, oh yeah, we can do that, we'll just put a resume in. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah. And there's a very specific way that they want it done, but they will not tell you. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the second biggest non-compliance. And then the third is around the training and assessment strategies and just not demonstrating that enough training is going to be provided.
Okay.
So that would be the third one.
Right. And so what if I put my application in, I've paid my money, and it's come back and I've said I've got some non-compliances and I've got 20 days to do that. What if I don't do it in that time frame? Do I get a refund?
No, and you don't get an extension either. So $8,800. Pretty much.
Okay.
They usually will say that you can apply again. But once you've paid your money and you've committed and they've started the review process, that's it. The money's gone. So if you do have non-compliances and you don't rectify in that period, then that money is gone because they've done the work. They've reviewed your application. Yeah. And it's a cost recovery. So they're saying it costs us this much, apply again. So it is pretty much bye-bye to the money.
Okay.
Also, if you do the rectifications, if you submit and attempt to rectify yourself and they're not compliant the second time around, then there's a process to be followed as well. So it's not the end of your money if you do submit, but it can be a long, slow process if you do it that way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So if for somebody to go through the process to sort of, if they've done the right thing and they go through, how long would that take sort of from end to end to get accredited?
Okay, so from end to end. Now the unknown part for me is how long a client will take. So I can meet a client and they can say, I want to have RTO status within the year. Mm-hmm. That's doable. But if that client isn't willing to put their information forward, if they're not willing to give me the information I require and complete the process, their business plan, that sort of thing, I can't speed that process up. Yeah. So generally speaking, clients will take between 3 to 6 months to get prepared.
Okay.
I have had a couple of clients do it in one month, but they're generally clients that have already compiled most of the information themselves.
Yeah.
And then having me review it, or they've compiled most of the information through working as a third party. Mm-hmm. So usually 3 to 6 months to get ready. Mm-hmm. Some people are taking longer because their jobs are taking time. Yep. Yeah, got to live. And then generally speaking, ASQA will take 6 months to process the application. Okay. So for ASQA to actually process the application, their time frame is approximately 6 months. Okay. An initial registration is usually, I'll emphasize usually, a desk audit. That means that they review documents. They don't necessarily come out and do a site audit anymore. They will usually have a reason to do that. So it might be the type of qualifications that people are applying for, or it might be a risk area. It might be that they need to have, say, commercial cookery facilities. Mm-hmm. Then they'll come and do a site audit, but generally it's a desk audit.
Okay. So it's quite a bit involved then, really. Well, yes and no, I suppose. I mean, if you decided to sort of embark on an RTO business, then you probably should have had a business plan and financials and things done, but it's not always.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that everything that is involved is getting you ready for operating the business. So you are going to need all of it, even down to policies and procedures. Now, a lot of people try writing their own, and that can consume so much time.
It can.
It can. We've done that. We make that easy. Templates, we've done that. We make it easy. So all the back end that a lot of trainers and assessors or people who've been working in third-party arrangements have never seen or don't know what to do with, that's the side that we've done.
I think you find that with most people that run a business, though, they generally are very good at what they do, which is why they want to run a business. But the actual back end of running a business is the thing that you.
That's the hard part, and that's the part that we actually help with, and that's where we really focus our energies, is helping people with that part that they haven't had to do the back end.
Okay.
Just
thinking about the number of people that actually go through that application process and fail, have you got any idea? So I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Have you got any idea like what that number looks like?
As far as the ones that pass?
Or pass or fail, yeah.
Well, I recently heard, now I'm trying to get this in writing, I'm trying to find out the source, but I did recently hear that only 35% of initial applications are passing.
Okay,
now,
that's quite a
that,
lot.
I believe, is initial applications passing on the first attempt.
Okay, all right. Well,
that's my understanding.
Yeah, after this chat, we'll clarify, and I'll put something in the post below. So.
Absolutely, we'll look into that. But it's very low on the initial application.
Gosh,
and then a lot of people do give up.
Yeah, well, I suppose whether they can afford to actually go for the application again is a big consideration, because nearly $9,000 is a big outlay.
So what happens is with that figure, that's the 35%. What I understand is that they're the ones that are passing first time, no non-compliances. And then there's the ones that follow on that are given the 20 days to rectify. And as I mentioned, there is another process to go through if you don't rectify even then. So ASQA are fair. They do give people opportunity. It's not just a matter of put your application in, lose your $8,800. So you wouldn't have to pay that again unless you've gone through all of the opportunities and hadn't been able to show compliance, or if you weren't able to meet the deadline.
I mean, I suppose I was just referring there to people kind of giving up at that stage. I mean, that's a lot of money to.
And they do.
Something.
There are quite a few that just, they do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, if anybody is watching and is thinking about becoming an RTO, Angela has put together a really simple, free self-assessment tool for you to have a look at, just some of the key questions to work out, are you actually ready to either put your application in or to start going through that process. So you can I'll put a link below the video below, and you can get that, and with Angela's details if you wanted to follow up and find out any more about what she does and how she can help. So thank you very much for watching, and thanks for your time, Angela. I'm sure there'll be lots of people get lots of good tips out of that little video from you, so thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks, Karen.